welcome to government class. In today's government class, we'll be looking at the general features and scope of a constitution. Political ideology. The constitution contains political ideology and the system of government adopted in the country in which the constitution is operated. It also states the type of political organization prevailing in the country, such as federal, unitary, presidential, and confederal, which of the systems of government are operating in the country. So the constitution clearly states all of this, the political ideology and the system of government adopted in the country. The basic structure of the government. The basic structure and pattern of the government is also explained in the Constitution. It reviews all the three arms of government and various political institutions in the state with their functions clearly stated and defined. So the basic structure of the government is stated in the Constitution. Do we have three arms of government or more? What are the powers of these organs of government? Where is the limit of their power? What are their functions? All of this is clearly stated in the Constitution. Separation of power. The Constitution also reveals how the overall constitutional powers are distributed and shared among the organs of government and their relationship with one another. The distribution or separation of power depend on the nature of the political arrangement in the country. The Constitution reviews all of this, where your power, the limit of the power of an organ of government, where their authority cannot override. It is clearly stated in the Constitution. The Constitution distributes the powers, separates the power between the three arms or organs of government. And this is done depending on the nature of the political arrangement in the country. Are we operating a federal system, a unitary system, a confederal system? All of this will determine the distribution of power and the separation of power. The party system. The party system adopted and practiced in the country is also reviewed by the Constitution. It reviews whether the country is to practice a one-party system, a two-party system, or a multi-party system. Citizens' rights and duties. The fundamental rights and obligations of the citizens to the state are well defined in the Constitution. Our rights and our obligations as the citizen of Nigeria is stated in the Constitution. It states clearly how our rights are to be protected against arbitrary abuse, against arbitrary use of power and authority by the government. So it states how our right is to be protected from arbitrary abuse and authority by the government, institution, and agency, and how as citizens we can seek redress when our inalienable rights are violated. So when our rights as citizens of Nigeria are violated, it is equally stated in the Constitution how we can seek redress and how we can protect our rights from the abuse, from arbitrary use of power by governmental institutions and agencies. The nature of the Constitution. Another essential scope of the Constitution is whether the Constitution is written or unwritten, rigid or flexible, democratic or unitary. If the Constitution is a written one in one document, it must be supplemented by organic law. Another thing that is usually written in a constitution, another feature of a constitution is it states clearly whether we are operating a written constitution or an unwritten constitution. If our constitution is a rigid one or a flexible one, if we are operating a democratic or a unitary constitution. All of this is clearly stated in the Constitution. The last feature we'll be looking at in this class today is the process of amendment. The amendment of a constitution is quite inevitable in a country, as individuals will change. Equally, over time, the country goes through different changes. Because of these changes, we will need to amend the constitution at several points in time. So the process and the procedure for amending a constitution is equally entrenched in the Constitution. A constitution usually states the process, the procedure, and the method of amendment to its original form so as to reflect the current economic, political, and social situations in the country. With this, we've come to the end of this class. In the course of this class, we looked at the general features or scope of a constitution. Basically, what this means is what a constitution usually has in it, what a constitution would have in it. So that was what we looked at in the course of this class.